Hello and welcome back to Football Manager. As you can see, we have finally made it to the Bournemouth game. Obviously, we didn't play the Watford game on camera because we got the FA Cup with Aston Villa. Unfortunately, we've run into a little snag over the last few games. For the game against Aston Villa, here, we were playing a youth goalkeeper, Antonio Carneiro. And you can also see there's no Cadu, there's no Alvaro, and there's sure as hell no Pablo Turgeman. In this game, we swapped out to a more senior goalkeeper, Joe Wright. That clearly didn't do us any favours. We've been forced into looking at signing a new goalkeeper, Remy Deschamps, on loan, obviously, and then on a permanent deal at the end of it. That's because, unfortunately, Pablo Turgeman is on international duties with the under M23s, as is Cadu, as is Alvaro. Unfortunately for us, that leaves us with very limited options, because Carneiro is injured currently, so Joe Wright is the only goalkeeper we have at the club, and he has a condition of only 66. Likelihood being as such, he most likely could get injured himself. Thankfully, Turgeman will be back after the Aston Villa game, and hopefully this loan will have been completed before the Aston Villa game as well, giving us the opportunity to bring in an actual first tier goalkeeper. Admittedly, before leaving Paris Saint-Germain, he never played in any top tier side, but he's been playing for Fiorentina for the last 2 years, and Fiorentina are doing fairly well in the Serie A. Ignore the 6th place. They haven't been relegated, like they were here. And I mean, 6th place is fairly average for Fiorentina, which to me sounds odd. I always thought Fiorentina was one of those big teams in Italy, but clearly not. Anyway, back to the situation. We are, thankfully, going to be not playing against Matthias Arezzo, or Horte, or Nesta Arroyo. So, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. We're not going to win this game. It's almost a guarantee of that fact. But we can't drop any lower than 14th, which is good. So hopefully we could survive somewhat in this game. Erdogan obviously getting his game time now, 4 and 4, without Cadu in the side. And yeah, Sehovic been relegated to the bench after a couple of poor performances. Admittedly, probably not his fault in the long term, but yeah, he didn't really play all that well in the latter game he played in, so he kind of dropped out for Brandon Williams again. Matthew Clark and Tuanzebe at the centre of defence. Thompson and Doyle finally back together in the centre of midfield. Albright and Rothwell and Glazen in the attacking midfield roles, because Emre Moore, as you can see, isn't playing all that well. Keener not playing all that well, and Glazen is playing well. That's why he's still in the team. Louis Barry still up front because he's the only striker other than Balogun in the team. And Balogun, although he's doing very well, actually to be fair, in goals to game ratio he's not that far off. But that's not the point. We've also got promised that we have to play him, so we have to play him. So hopefully in this game we can actually pull off a good result, which will be anything other than defeat in my opinion. I'm not expecting a win of any kind. I'm expecting a draw at best, because Bournemouth are a fairly good team, Football Manager, at least they have been in the most recent years, in terms of actually surviving in the Premiership. So anything could happen, really. And I'm just hoping that something good happens. I have to ask them to go prove a point. Apparently Bournemouth are 20th in the form standings. Okay. Let's just go for that one then. Not sure exactly if it's going to work or not, but let's go for it. Yeah, click through all these, don't need to worry about it. I'm actually going to turn that off after the video's done. Anyway, annoyingly, Lloris, Zappacosta, Fraser, Lerma and Seferovic are all in the team, which does mean they've got very good players. But we've got the corner first. Albrighton swings it in, headed away by Mepham to Lewis Cook. Lewis Cook running straight past Tuanzebe, as if he's not Tuanzebe, that's Glazen most likely then. Okay, passing straight past Glazen, which admittedly is better, but he's supposed to be one of our faster players, so yeah. Cook plays the ball out wide to James, who crossed the ball in for Solanke's header, and Dominic Solanke gets the first goal of the game at the Den. And I'm expecting more, if I'm honest with you, so I'm going to skip every single one of the replays because I'm expecting more goals to come from this match. I'm going to get a bit creative for the next 10 minutes, hopefully. Lloris now with the goal kick. Intercepted by Glazen now to Barry. Barry plays it looking for Glazen, but he's passed it directly into Ryan Fraser. But Rothwell takes the ball off and Barry takes it and puts it wide. Because for some reason we can't shoot recently. Solanke now with the ball out the wide on the right wing, taken away by Williams, now to Glazen, now to Doyle. Doyle plays it to Nzebe very dangerously, who then plays it forward to Barry, now to Thompson, who gets tackled by Cook, but the ball ends up with Doyle, who plays out to Williams, back now to Doyle. Doyle now to Glazen. Glazen runs it into the middle, plays it to Doyle. Doyle looks up, finds Thompson, who plays it out wide, finding Glazen. Back now to Williams. Williams to Doyle. Back to Williams. Back to Doyle. Plays it through to Barry, who is in the box. Crosses it to the far post, and Mark Albrighton, with his first of the season, on the top of his head, into the goal, makes it 1-1. So perhaps a draw isn't unlikely. But as I said, as I was about to say before this highlight started, we haven't scored a single goal with our feet since we last won a match. Every goal we've scored so far has been with the head. And another goal there proving that point. We can't, for some reason at this point in time, score with our feet. Which is very worrying as a manager of a team of players that scored a fair number of goals last season. Zappacosta now with the ball swings it in, and Haris Seferovic proving yet again why I wanted to sign him. Because he scored another goal. And I will be skipping this replay. I'm hoping that we can equalise and we can hold on to a draw, but given the current state of affairs, it's incredibly unlikely. I mean, Joe Wright's already dropping down into the 50s now. Fraser now with a free kick, swings it in, Slanky's header, another goal. This is why Joe Wright is never going to play for us properly, because he has a 2-star potential and barely a star on current ability. Although, to be fair, he looked a tad offside. Obviously, they'll have to look at if they showed another replay. They've shown another replay here. Oh, that's close. I wouldn't be too worried about the referee calling that one offside. Obviously, he didn't. So, yeah. Thompson now to Albrighton. Albrighton tackled by James. Thompson plays it to Doyle. Forward to Rothwell. Back to Doyle. Doyle holding the ball, plays it to Glazen. Glazen back to Doyle, now to Thompson. Thompson through to Barry, who's in on goal, but again can't seem to score with his feet, instead giving us a corner kick, which is probably going to be caught out of the air by the goalkeeper. Doyle now at the corner kick, swings it in. I was wrong, but it still didn't go anywhere good. Thompson now with the ball, plays to Nzebe, and the highlight just ends, because of course it does. They're frustrated, so the perfect time for a bit of creativity, in hope. Didn't even do it, because for some reason it didn't want to. And there we go, inspired just as they get fired up. Perfect. Alright, dressing room. Alright, what was they saying? Performance disappointing, we should let them know. Be assertive, and ask them to show me something else in the second half. And I'm going to make 3 changes at this moment in time. One being Rothwell for Keener. Change that into attacking midfielder. Don't know why it wasn't there originally. Next one being Williams. And finally the change of Glazen for Moore. And then swapping Albrighton and Moore over. giving now more a chance on the right wing with Albrighton playing as an inverted winger. And we are playing cautiously because we're expecting a defeat and we need to try and rectify that expectation by trying to do better at controlling possession, which we have been doing. 60% of possession has been ours. We're losing 3-1. Yeah, do the maths. I can't. 10 shots to 6, 4 on target to 4 on target, yet somehow we're being defeated 3-1. Lewis Cook now with the ball, plays it back to Gallardo. Gallardo holds the ball up, plays it forward to Seferovic. Seferovic holding the ball, crosses it to James, plays the ball into the middle for Solanke's header, and it's now a hat-trick for Dominic Solanke. And it's looking very likely to be another 5-1 or even worse. Which means very harsh training for the next week for these players because they deserve it. They're not playing as well as they need to be. Ask them to show some passion. Doyle's corner kick, and it's over the bar from Thompson. We are wanting some passion from these boys, otherwise we're going to lose. And just to prove how much I want them to score, we're going to go attacking. Keano now with the ball, runs it forward into the Bournemouth player and plays it forward to Barry, I believe. Doyle now with the ball, plays it to Thompson, plays it to Moore. Moore back to Thompson, back to Doyle. Doyle plays it over the top, finding Barry, and again Hugo Lloris makes the save. Corner kick again for Millwall. Been swung in by Sehovic. At the far post, Barry's header, and then Emre Moore, some ricochet off him causing that to go in. I still don't think that was actually a goal from the boot. I'll have a quick look here. Okay, it was from the boot, but it looked more like a tackle than an actual shot, so I'm still not counting that as a goal from the boot. Bit more creative now. Try and get a third and a fourth goal, because we do want to equalise. We do want to get a point from this game. We don't want to lose again, obviously. No team wants to lose, but especially not concurrent games. Daniel James now with the ball, runs it straight into the goal. I mean, that's atrocious defending. He runs straight past both the right mid and the right back. I mean, look, Emre Moore's not even anywhere near him. Erdogan just essentially stood next to him as he ran past him. And then you had Matthew Clark, didn't even go towards him until the very last minute. And then the goalkeeper did the atrocious thing of falling over when trying to make the save. It's terrible form. Matthew Clark plays it forward to Doyle. Doyle. Now to Thompson. Back to Doyle. Doyle's tackled by Frazier, who then gets the ball out to Thompson, now to Albrighton. Albrighton plays it to Sehovic. Sehovic to Doyle. Doyle now to Thompson with a thunderous effort, making it 5-3 now. Bournemouth could have a game on their hands if Millwall can do well enough to score 2 more goals. But that was one hell of a thunderous shot from Thompson, cannoning off the back of the goal and back out again. I would have actually had Barry pick that ball up than Thompson, but alright. Barry apparently now has 2 assists to his name. And I mean, imagine having a team score 3 goals, have a player with an 8.3 rating, and still lose. That's terrible. We're going to ask for some more passion, because they should be playing better. Goalkeeper's one thing, but the rest of the team is still a normal team. And Dominic Solanke... Oh, hello. Disallowed? Okay, disallowed. Not a 4th for Dominic Solanke. Oh, just about offside. Fair enough then. So Bournemouth still only 5-3 up, and I've just noticed Wolves are currently beating Man City 2-1, which is impressive in and of itself. But with the last 10 minutes now of the game going, I can't see any team winning this match except for Bournemouth at this point. And with 3 minutes stoppage time, there's going to be no more highlights. It's a 5-3. Oh wait, never mind. I'll shut up. It's a 6-3 defeat, thanks to Chris Mepham's final goal. And yet again, Millwall proving that Pablo Turgeman is the glue that holds this season together. Because without him in goal, we have not managed to win any games. We haven't managed to keep a clean sheet. And in fact, every game that Joe Wright's been playing in, we've managed to lose by upwards of 5 goals being scored. And I'm going to be aggressive, because they deserve it. The team, everyone from Erdogan down to Barry, are full senior squad members. Joe Wright may not be, but he's a goalkeeper. He can't do anything on the field. He can't stop the players from running past him, because he's not the one on the outfield. The defenders are the same defenders I've had all season. Admittedly, Kadu in for Erdogan, fair enough. But everyone else, yeah, they're the first team, straight up first team. Alvaro isn't even getting in the first team at this rate, because how well Louis Barry is doing with his 7 goals. So, yeah. But as I mentioned, Turgeman is not back until after Aston Villa, which means the best we could hope for in that game would be a draw, if we don't get that Fiorentina goalkeeper in. So, yeah, I'm not expecting much, to put it bluntly. And I do think the team needs to pull their head out of their butt to actually do well. Again, Mauricio Santa Cruz doing well for Paraguay. Yeah, we also bought out a clause to give us another £239,000, as we're currently in the process of looking at £1 million transfer of a youth player. We're not actually putting the transfer in yet, we want the money first. We're currently, I believe, on 900,000, give or take. 5 now without a win. Very poor form, and we're down now to a B-. We were on point of B+. Yeah, we're just shy of £1 million as it is. We're expecting a little bit more money to come in still. I mean, hopefully we'll get that before the end of the month, which is here. But no guarantee, obviously. If we can't get the money in before the end of the month, then obviously we're going to have to shirk on that £1 million transfer, because at the minute we can't actually afford it. And I know people will be, if people actually watch this video, they'll be thinking to themselves, well, isn't there the future fee stuff? Yes, there is future fee stuff you can do, but it's only really usable if you have enough money behind it on top. Yeah, no luck from Louis Barry, obviously. And Aston Villa, last time we played them, we drew 1-1. And that was with the youth goalkeeper, Antonio Cannavaro. Or Canevaro, whatever his name is, can't remember his name now. The Portuguese youngster that came through the youth system a few years back. Or possibly last season. It was at least a year ago. And 6-3, which is just terrible. That's just terrible. Was I involved in? I would have been involved in that game. Yeah, I would have been involved in that game. A 6-1 win over Crystal Palace. I don't remember being involved in that game, because I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed that game. 6-1 against a London-based side like Crystal Palace. The 3F Superliga clean sheets. I've actually been looking at the Superliga as well as the Austrian and Serbian leagues to see if they had any good youngsters coming through for midfield. Because at the minute we've only got 2 centre midfielders that are going to be here next season, and that's Tommy Doyle and Ben Thompson, because Capoue is retiring, and we're going to need a new centre mid. And hopefully, if Doyle can make the permanent signing of next season, which I'm at hope that he will, but this is Manchester City, obviously, and they're unlikely to be able to agree to the transfer of a fairly important centre midfielder in terms of potential ability, being that he has potential of 5 stars with a current ability of 4.5. So they're unlikely to agree to a small fee for him, but that doesn't matter. If push comes to shove and we do need to perhaps sell a player on prior to him signing on a permanent deal, we could easily sell on a player such as Tuanzebe, who is currently wanted by Tottenham Hotspur. Which, if that was to go through, we have plenty other centre-backs on the side who can come in. We also have enough strikers at the side, we could sell one of them on. Admittedly, both of our strikers currently that are doing well are Louis Barry and Alvaro, who are both young wonder kids, 20 years old, worth at least £1 million as it is already. So, yeah. Right. Apparently Ollie Watkins could be going to Ipswich Town, which is odd. Mainly because I thought he wouldn't be at the calibre required for a championship side anymore. But perhaps he is. Boston United, actually, as an update to them, are still in the promotion hunt. I believe they're now 5 points behind Salford, giving them an opportunity in the future to actually overtake them when they play them later in the season. Because of the current state of affairs, they still have to play them at least once. And last time they played them, it was a draw. I believe 1-1 draw. And Boston have been playing very well this season. A couple of defeats here and there, obviously, as any team would have, but still well regardless. Okay, that's completely useless to me. Sebastian Caceres out on loan. I think probably would have seen this in the last episode. Obviously, Lasa Kasarevic has been out. Karavic has been out since the start of the season. But yeah, as I mentioned, Boston United doing fairly well in the league. No longer in any competitions. There isn't obviously the League 2. They are eliminated by Plymouth. Yeah, they've not been playing well recently, obviously. Eliminated by Plymouth in the FA Cup, and in the Leasing Cup by Fleetwood. So now just focusing on League 2, and as you can see, I'm attending a few games in the off-camera periods, just to see how well they're doing, as well as the Salford game, because they're the main rival for Boston this season, being that they're 6 points ahead, the only team really challenging for the top spot other than Boston. Although Boston, you can arguably say, are only really challenging for a promotion spot of the current state, because if you look, they're 4 points clear of Gillingham, who have a game in hand, but 6 points away from Salford, who have a game in hand. Oh, I was wrong. Salford actually lost their game against Boston. I thought it was a draw. Perhaps not. Southend aren't doing all that well after being in League 1 a couple seasons ago. They're now in the midst of a relegation battle to the non-leagues, which I don't think they've actually ever been part of. At least not to my knowledge. They've been up into the second tier, but no. Never been lower than the fourth tier technically. They've never been lower than the fourth tier of football, or Third Division South was the lowest tier they had back in the day when Southend began their professional football career. Oh, apparently there's a player here wanted to play Ipswich Town in South, I think that's South Shields, which means he's not going to be Premier League quality anytime soon, or ever for that matter. Let's see how Brentford do against Watford, the team that thrashed us 5-1. Hopefully Brentford will also be defeated by Watford, so that we can keep our hold on the Premiership even tighter, knowing that a relegation threatened side aren't winning their games. But obviously with Watford winning their games as a mid-table side, we're probably going to hit mid-table at best for that for this season, I think, mainly because of the fact that we're not good enough for a top table finish, in my opinion. Which is why when the board asked me if I wanted to change my original views for the season, I did not go to upper table, what's the phrase? Top half finish. I didn't go for that one, I went for mid-table, because it's the most likely, and Brentford won their game. Of course they did. Thankfully, Newcastle drew their game, so he didn't actually go down to 14th, and went down to 13th. And, arguably, with a win, we could actually climb all the way up to 11th, and then a second win can actually see us climb all the way up to 7th, if the teams of us did lose and or draw their games, depending on where they are. But with those two recent defeats of 6-3 and 5-1 by Watford and Bournemouth, things need to change. And one of those things is the Remy Deschamps has to arrive at the Den. Otherwise, we physically are not capable of holding our own in a football match anymore without Pablo Turgeman. Which is very, very frustrating. Because without him, the entire Premier League season could be completely derailed, as could the FA Cup run that I'm planning this season to help us fund next season's budgets. Because there's currently a transfer debt at this club of £24.5 million, which is very large if you're a team like Millwall, who don't have a lot of financial backing behind them, compared to teams like Liverpool, Man City, Man United, that sort of thing. Which obviously you need to make sure you can rectify. Hence why I'm hoping that I can actually do what I need to do. Which is beat Aston Villa, beat the 5th round opposition, beat the 6th round opposition, I think it's the quarterfinals. I think. I could be wrong. Beat the semi-finalists and then go on to the final. That's completely unlikely, I understand, but it's what I need to do to truly be able to hold enough economic stability in this club. I understand he's very ambitious, so that's why we want him. Another reason why I want him is he is a player who has been here for the last 2-3 years actually now. I kept him after his first season, I kept him after his second season. As you can see, he's been progressively getting better. Started as a 6.87, 7.81, 1.8, and then a 7.65. You cannot say he's not doing well. He's a leading player, actually, for most Premier League sides. That, in and of itself, is enough to me to say, yeah, perfect, let's sign him up. But without the financial backing of the board to agree to that sort of deal, we're going to have to wait till next season. Which could mean that he signs a new deal with Man City. It could mean that he makes a move to another club with more money, like Liverpool. And with a £63,000 a week asking price for his wages, I'm worried. To put it bluntly, I'm worried. And apparently, it appears that the international stuff is actually expanding to these days as well, which again is a big worry for me, because if it means it extends even further and Arsenal game comes into it, we could actually be demolished by Arsenal with possibly even a double figure result, which would be incredibly demoralising. Not just for the players, but also for the board, who could see me as no longer the right candidate for the job. And if such a result did cause a complete collapse of form for the remainder of the season, meaning that the team never pulls off enough points to survive, I very well could see myself sacked from the job. As you can see, this is what we're paying him: £15,350 a week, £150,000 we play him every month, as well as 500 grand final fee. That's a lot of money that's being made available for him because we need to. Now let's just have a quick look. Alvaro, how are you doing internationally? He did manage to score against Venezuela, so that's good for him. He needs to do that a lot more domestically. Otherwise, we're not going to start winning any games again. He's already at a 4-star quality. He's the same talent as Lou Barry. He is quite clearly one of the best strikers at the club. And he's going to be very expensive for any team that wants to take him off Millwall's hands. I am personally looking to continue my career at Millwall until my contract runs down, which is 2026. I'm not planning moving on until that point, because I have no reason to. If I can stay here long enough and could see them survive in this division and then push on next season, and I could keep my job through that, it's even better for my resume for a bigger club like Arsenal, like Man City, like Liverpool, like Manchester United. You want to have that resume available to put forward against those teams. Now, this loan player coming in, he could very well be the only reason we don't lose against Aston Villa. So, it could be quite important. Also, if we end up drawing with Aston Villa and we go to a replay, depending on the date of that replay, that could be the next episode. And finally he makes the joining, which is good news. He'll be given the number 50. No, that's 49. 50. He was originally going to be number 27, but not 27, 28. But that's number taken, so can't give him that number. Apparently Ben Knight's wanted by teams. Leeds, fair enough. Kane Lawrence by a couple of teams on loan, nothing important. And we'll have to register him obviously as our new goalkeeper, but as you can see, need another player trained as homegrown nation, which we don't have except for Louis Barry. So put Louis Barry in. Even though he doesn't need to be registered, we'll put him in just to get the whole thing done. And hopefully, in the game against Aston Villa, he could prove useful as a goalkeeper in turn of Joe Wright, who is likely never to play a game for Millwall ever again. For multiple reasons. Now, the likelihood is, obviously, Kadu is probably not back from his international break. Turgeman obviously not back. Alvaro probably not back. And the only player that's come back is probably Santa Cruz, who's probably currently still out. Well, he's obviously still out on loan. He'll probably come back to his loan side after his international break. I think these are probably for the quarterfinals or finals, whatever, of the tournament they're currently playing in. I think there's possibly a playoffs for the Olympics, but I could be wrong. And if it is the Olympics, then good on them. You know, playing the Olympics is an incredibly impressive feat for any any player to have. But we're playing in the FA Cup 4th round against Aston Villa, a side that, well, we haven't done great against in recent seasons. Chelsea demolishing Huddersfield 3-0, which is good for Chelsea. And Hull managed to finally get Chester's Jacob Bell to sign for them. He's a player that I looked at in my last season at Boston. He was just coming through the Chester youth stuff, and they wanted £50,000 a week. But that was just after I'd made a few signings of my own to the side that really were too expensive. Now then, Joe Wright, out of the team. Yep, Turgeman's still out on international duty, but Remy Deschamps is already at a calibre to play in the first team, and he'll play as a regular goalkeeper. As well as that, Kadu and Alvaro are still out on international break, so they can't play. Albrighton will be coming out of the first team for Emre Moore, because he just needs to at this point. I'll give Tuanzebe half the match, I think, just to so we have a strong centre-back. Rothwell, I'll keep him in the team despite not playing well last game. Same with Doyle. He played well, but he got a very low condition. I think I'll leave them both in. I think I'll also leave Barry in. I think I'm going to have to leave everyone as it is except for the goalkeeper, obviously. And we're going to return to an attacking formation, because we're going to want to go and win this match. We play with the attacking formation against Watford. I think that possibly could be our mistake. Well, then again, seeing how we did against Bournemouth with a defensive formation, perhaps either way we were going to lose that match. But in this game, with a good goalkeeper at the helm, Let's just try and end this poor run of form. And again, we're just going to do this. There we go. Done. Now then, hopefully Aston Villa won't beat us outright. We'll give them a good game. We might even get them eliminated ourselves. So we might even beat them. Davies now to Godoy, now to Idrissi, now to Fortunus. Idrissi again. Idrissi runs it forward, has a shot, but it's wide of the post. Already, we're doing better against them than we did against Bournemouth. Because Bournemouth's first shot went in. Right, currently 1 shot apiece, 0 on target apiece. Newcastle apparently scored 2 goals without scoring 1 goal. That's very impressive. O'Connor plays it to McGinn. Now O'Connor back to Douglas Luiz. Plays it forward, but Glazen's header takes it out of the air, and Louis Barry has finally ended the bogey run of not scoring with their feet and thumps that. Well, I just realised that we scored with Thompson with his feet. Ignore what I was saying. Either way, Louis Barry scoring a very good effort with his feet there. I don't know why it keeps freezing at that moment in time when he goes for the header, but it does. And with 16... Okay, we know he's not offside. And with 16 minutes on the clock, Millwall lead 1-0 at Villa Park. I very nearly call it the Medeski Stadium. I'm well aware that the Medeski Stadium is, or at least was, the Reading Stadium, but my mind just went blank for some reason, and I'm pretty sure I probably saw Reading at the bottom down there. And apparently Newcastle scored 2 goals twice, with Poulsen scoring both of them. And the Aston Villa goalkeeper claims that ball from the air, a gherkin. And again, another freeze for some reason. Williams picks the ball up from the clearance from their goalkeeper. Davies heads the ball down, but poorly, giving it to Gleeson. And Gleeson's shot also goes wide of the post, just like Idrissi's did in their first attack. No players that I recognise anywhere, that I can see at least, except obviously our player that scored, Barry. Free kick from Doyle, another little freeze there for some reason. Swings it in at the far post, and Matthew Clark. Clearly, this game is going to help us rectify our poor form, and we could very well be about to win our first game in 5. It's a cup game, I understand that, but a win is a win. I'll drop a bit of praise on them now, so that when they come back after the kick-off, they've been praised, they've been put forward, and look, 8 shots to 2, 4 to 1. We've won this game. Remy Deschamps will give his debut in a win. Erdogan now with the ball. And another pause. For some reason, I don't quite understand why it keeps lagging like that. Doyle now plays the ball over the top. Gleeson is behind, and somehow doesn't score from point-blank range. Doyle now with the corner kick. Plays it over the top, finding the head of a Aston Villa player, and McGinn runs the ball away. And for some reason, this game is really choppy today. I don't quite understand why. Davies now with the ball, plays it back to Idrissi. Idrissi plays it into the middle, finding Godoy. I don't know how to pronounce that name. McGinn plays it back to Duffy over the top, and it's the end of the highlight. Because, of course, it is. It does that really annoyingly. So, any players that I recognise that have scored: Ousmane Dembele, Alex Telles scored, Callum Slattery scored. A couple of players I recognise at least. Be passionate in saying that I'm pleased with their performance, because I am. This game should very well be the change required to form for this team. I'll drop a bit of praise now, again. And with 3 players currently in a 7 point something, we're doing quite well. Free kick for Aston Villa, taken by Sandro. We were warned about him by Neil Harris, and thankfully his warning need not have been heeded, as he missed that free kick horrifically. Williams now. That was more, plays the ball forward for Rothwell. Rothwell plays it into Barry. Barry runs it into the box, has a shot, and it's saved by their goalkeeper for another corner kick. Corner kick taken by Tommy Doyle. He swings it into the near post. Headed away by Louise. Doyle picks the ball back up, and apparently that's just the end of the highlight. I'm sorry, if the ball gets crossed into the box, to me that's a highlight. It's just me. I think that's a highlight. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Throw-in from Williams. Again, another pause. I apologise for this. I'm not sure what's causing it. Hopefully, next episode it won't have it. I'll try and figure out what it could be from in the graphic settings, perhaps, of the game, or of the actual 3D match engine could be causing it. I'm not sure. But hopefully it'll be fixed before the next episode. If not, I'll try and fix it as quickly as I possibly can, whilst also getting these videos out every 3 days again, as I'm finally able to do so, as my sister has finally begun work again. And Sandro, now clear with the ball, gets into our box, has a shot, and it's saved by Remy Deschamps as the ball managed to somehow magic itself closer to the right. We're going to pause the game here and I'll make 3 changes. We're going to make 1 being Tuanzebe for his injury, for Nate, 1 for Thompson because of his yellow card, for Etienne Capoue, and finally we're going to bring off Williams for Sehovic because of his rating. I mean, there is one worse, being Emre, but I don't think Albrighton's all ready to go on at the minute, and I think Emre is playing well enough as it is, so it's fine. So we bring those players on. Tommy Doyle actually got an 8.1 currently. Matthew Clark with an 8. A Gherkin now with the ball for Aston Villa, and that was an odd looking goal kick, but got to the player. Went straight back to the goalkeeper again. Aston Villa holding the ball up, plays it out wide, finding the head of Penrenda, but nothing comes of it. Clark now clears the ball away. Gleason chases it, tries to get it round the Aston Villa player, doesn't quite, and actually gets tackled by Vincent Abubakar. But then Gleason tries to tackle the ball back off him again, but it actually does not work. And then Clark's header clears the ball to Rothwell, who then clears the ball, finding Douglas Luiz. Now O'Connor with the ball back to McGinn, plays it over the top for Sandro, and he shoots against our goalkeeper's gloves. And it is still 2-0 Millwall at Villa Park. Sandro with the corner kick, far one, headed away by Nate. McGinn chases it, plays it back out wide to Sandro, but Emre intercepts it and gives it to Louis Barry, who then plays the ball straight out for a throw-in for some reason. I never tell them to waste time by doing that, but apparently he wanted to do it. And with just 1 minute of stoppage time, no minutes of stoppage time, that's it, all over at Villa Park, Millwall have finally won a match. And I will passionately say that they played magnificently. And I'm pretty sure that this poor form has now been rectified. We may not beat Arsenal, but I do not think we're going to lose to Arsenal. I think a draw against them is very possible. And we got £206,000 for it as well. Doyle out for another 2 days, that's fine. Deschamps keeps clean sheet in his debut, valued at £3.6 million. He's going to come in for 500,000, which, if you ask me, is impressive. It's an impressive bit of business. Salford managed to win 4-1, Exeter 2-0, Hull drawing 2-2, Shrewsbury losing 2-0, Hemel Hempstead winning 2-1, Yeovil winning 4-0, Wrexham winning 3-0, and Doyle gets his man of the match. And, as I mentioned, the next video, hopefully the stuttering of the in-game match engine will be fixed. The next episode of this will be the FA Cup 5th round and the concurrent league match, which could actually be on the 10th, possibly, because of the large gap. But that could also be international break, so I'm not too sure. I'll have a quick look to find out where the 5th round is played. 5th round draws the 29th of January. 5th round... Okay. Here we go. The 5th round is played on the 6th of March. So the 6th of March is here. So logically, Tottenham, FA Cup. Or FA Cup, Norwich. not too sure. I think night's probably better because it's on TV. You know, more of a spectacle, I guess. Actually, yeah, go on then. We'll go from Wednesday to Sunday, so 4 days, with the FA Cup followed by Norwich on TV. So we'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 games off camera, and then we got the 2 here. Then it will be either the next FA Cup game if we get through, or it'll be Brentford in the next game, and then finally Southampton. There'll be no other games being played due to how spread out everything is for the time being. Only cup games will be matches played with multiple games in an episode. So until then, as I say every episode, I bid thee adieu, goodbye.